Continuing part 3, the story of the scroll, the curve. The Tree of Haman. Highly flattered, Haman returns home after this meal. Of the second meal, to which again he alone is invited, he expects miracles. Had not the miracles been accomplished even now? The development of the world has never gained the results it dreamt of. But on his way at the gate of the king's palace, there is Mordecai, who even now refuses to recognize the results of development, refuses even now to take all this seriously. At this very peak of glory, it annoys Haman all the more. For if now, at this very moment, the immense results of development were not recognized, then all development would be without purpose. Haman feels alarmed, dissatisfied. In his milieu in the house of Amalek, he expresses his displeasure. People there know it only too well. As long as he is there, the Jehudi will continue to thwart development. The only thing the Jehudi wants is to return home, whatever that might imply, and the Jehudi cannot be eradicated, neither in individual man nor in the world. All the time one is confronted with him. As they schemed how this Jehudi might eventually be disposed of, for now is the time to do so. Was not development esteemed as the zenith of things? Had not an important limit been exceeded? Had not a world come forth with an entirely new appearance? That is why an entirely new manner of eliminating the Jehudi could be devised now. All the former he had survived. The method of the present day he shall not survive. A gallows tree of 50 cubits high is to be erected, and on this gallows tree Mordecai will be hanged. Such a thing could only be achieved in these times. Such a thing only Haman could do. Now that he has been with the king and the queen, and has been invited to the second meal. The old world was coming to an end now, which was proved by the enormous flight of development, looked at from the absolute. This is the world of the seventh day. Fulfilling this world means that the seven has gone through all possibilities of existence, that there has been the 7 times 7. The new world begins with 50, which is beyond the 7 times 7. This new world would show such acceleration of development that the Jehudi would simply be swallowed by this new era. Then there would be no spot left on earth to serve this Avri as Pita Terre. He would simply be suspended in midair. For how was the Jehudi to remain alive in such a world, and at the same time be a Jehudi and Avri pertain to another world? The Jehudi would simply be hanged on the new world on the gallows tree of 50 cubits. Tree in Hebrew is what expresses itself as time in the world of trees. Time in Hebrew is Eth. In its phenomenal form, the tree has characteristics which pertain to the concept time, waxing with the rings of growth, exploding into multiplicity at the top, at the end. In the absolute, the tree is that which expresses development. The tree of 50 cubits, its time, which has gone beyond the seventh day, and now pertains to the 8th, to the new world. Now this tree will be accomplished in the night to come, there where the new world begins. It is going to happen in the presence of Haman, the force of development. It ushers in the new world, just as the Jehudim will all have disappeared on the 13th of Adar. So Mordecai, he that sits at the king's gate, even at this moment of the commencement of the new world, will hang suspended in midair. He will lose contact with this world. People will no longer understand him, and he will not understand the world anymore. It had never been like that before. Never yet had the world in its course of repetition and change reached this stage. Change had by now progressed so much that a new world had come forth. In such a world, Mordecai could not exist. All Jehudim would disappear too. Amalek could fill it. Never until now had Amalek been so strong as at the commencement of the new world. In the house of Haman, this gallows tree is now erected. Haman is now confident that finally The time has come when these disturbers of peace, these restless ones, could be put an end to. At the turning point of times, where one world passes into the other, he would make a petition to Ahasuerus to have Mordecai hanged on this gallows tree. Ahasuerus would issue this law. At the beginning of the 8th day, the ground is taken away under Mordecai's feet. Therewith begins the end of all Jehudim. The children of the school. After the gallows tree has been erected, Haman goes to Mordecai to observe for the last time what this Jehudi is up to. Haman is full of joy and self-assurance. To him, it is indisputable that this law of the tree shall be issued by Ahasuerus. Then that would be the end of Mordecai. What had myrrh and the secret of holy anointment to do with modern times? Who would be interested? Haman finds Mordecai in the school, Beth Ha-Midrash, the house of the Midrash. That is where he learns the Torah with the children. According to ancient lore, Haman counts 22,000 of them. They are the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet with which the words of the Torah are built. They are also the 22 with the help of which the exile expresses itself in form through the word. Now, why indeed does Mordecai learn at that decisive moment with children? Would he not rather be expected to be together with grown-up people, with wise men, if he had to learn the Torah at all? For in that case, one could go more deeply into the things learned. One could try to penetrate to the very secrets, could not one? We happen very often to see this contact with children in the case of sages, of great people, of the greatest ones, at least according to the standards of the Torah. Thus, for instance, these great ones repeatedly ask a child which verse it had learned that day. And the child's answer is taken most seriously. It has indeed a decisive nature. Do not these sages know things themselves? Or do these children serve as a kind of oracle? The question is getting more forcible when one finds that the word used in Hebrew, Tanakh, in fact means infant, at least a very little child. What concern has one, as a sage, as Mordecai, with these infants? We are dealing here with an important matter. Tradition would not go into such matters unless something more essential were at issue. And Mordecai would be here learning the Torah with 22,000 children. Just imagine. The child is still quite near the prenatal world. The child has hardly been able to eat of the tree of knowledge. It has no opinion yet based on observation. It has not yet absorbed all that knowledge passed on by others, and which, owing to the judgment those others often presumed to have, rightly or wrongly, had also been obscured by the venom of the serpent who pointed at the tree of the knowledge. The grown-up individual has a fund of knowledge, has a great deal of experience, and all this is loaded with everything that gravitates toward this world. At best, it is a mixture of right judgment and bias, and especially people expect sound judgment, intellectually vouched for judgment. Rightly so, it is the way of man. Man has to get through. In the end, he will find that his opinion does not count. But the child has not yet acquired all this. It still inhales the breath of heaven. As an infant, it has hardly tasted any food except the marvelous nourishment that comes from the mother. The breasts, Shaddam, in their word structure are closely related to Shamim, heaven. This nourishment from the mother on the earthly level is what the angel tells the neshama before birth. In man, the child is that which is nearest the primordial world, nearest to the real history, to heaven. If only the individual could just manage to discard all layers of stacked knowledge gathered from sense perception, his own and other people's. If only he were able to open himself to the voice of the neshama, to return to the moment of the destruction of the temple, and to see then and there, to hear then and there. At that very moment, he breathes the earthly breath for the first time. Heavenly breath still lives in him. Let man come to God as a child. At the most arduous point of the exile, individual man is confronted with that child, first and foremost in itself. For at the most arduous point, at the rest, all the rest falls away of its own accord. It is then that man feels the sad relativity of all human wisdom. At that moment, he would not like anything better than stand before God, free from all this, and just hear and see. It is then that God speaks to him. The man then makes the child quote the verse from the Bible it has learned in the course of that day. For every day, the child outside his body is connected with the angel of God. And then it is that the child learns the verse of that day. This ancient lore has it that when Haman's purpose to eradicate the Jehudim on the 13th of Adar had been issued as law by Ahasuerus, and thus there was deep distress and terror, Mordecai came across 3 Tinakoth, plural form of Tanakh, and inquired what was their verse for that day. The first child answered that it was the verse from Proverbs 3:25, "Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh." The second child quoted the verse in Isaiah 8:10, "Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for God is with us." The third child finally had that day learned the verse in Isaiah 46:4, "And even to your old age I am he, and even to hoar hairs will I carry you. I have made, and I will bear, even I will carry, and will deliver you." That is what the child in Mordecai spoke to, and that great fear it came through all of a sudden. It was not Mordecai's unquestionably great knowledge which made it come through. According to his knowledge, he would see no relief, but the child in direct contact with the primeval world pronounced it within him. And Mordecai was extremely pleased, for in his innermost heart he now knew, "Fear not, God carries it. Let them scheme. God will deliver." Haman had followed Mordecai and saw the glad smile. He asked what caused it, and Mordecai told him. Then Haman decided first and foremost to kill the children, even before Mordecai. For it is that very child which is the great danger to Haman, that child that has yet the connection with that other, the child that has only just received the cut under its nose, the child not yet buried under foolish knowledge, foolish Ahasuerus knowledge. Haman recognizes the danger. If without delay one takes the child in hand in accordance with the Porus Modi, ramming in the laws of Ahasuerus as the only wisdom, teaching to it to honor Haman, to serve the God of development in Haman, then indeed the other child will soon be dead. That strange child, which still is in connection with the wellspring of the word, shall be killed even before Mordecai. An individual man, too, that child shall be annihilated in the same way. So much service to Haman should be imposed, so much study of one half of reality, the half pertaining to Ahasuerus, that in individual man, too, that child shall be stifled. Man's standards should be in accordance with the laws of Ahasuerus. Rather remarkable are the instructions of these children. They are not the great sages. They are people with a very special destiny. For who is it that can reach the Tinakoth? Who is it that can lead them? Only those who themselves have the connection in a very special way with the primeval world. They are the people who have been in collision with life here in this world. To this world, it is disagreeable indeed. From that viewpoint of the other world, however, a different judgment is passed. There is heard they learn together with the children. The descendants of Haman, Sisera, Sennacherib, learned with the children. They had a great deal of experience, and Mordecai, with all his recalcitrance and its effects, he learned with the children. Simeon, Jacob's second son, is said to be the instructor of children. The tribe of Simeon is called children's teacher. He has no fixed place in the land, but traverses the country and teaches the children. He has that ability, this Simeon. It was he that, together with Levi, caused the catastrophe of Shechem. He championed Dinah and took the child of Dinah and Shechem under his care. He took a prominent place at the selling of Joseph. The tribe of Simeon was present at the downfall of Baal Peor in the desert. These are no trifles, and such as they become the teachers of the children, also of the child in individual man. In individual man, it is Simeon that is the teacher. Now, when Haman sees Mordecai learning with the children, he is greatly enraged in spite of all his certainty about the downfall of the Jehudim. He has them chained in irons, appointed gallowers over them, saying, "Tomorrow morning they shall be killed, even before Mordecai." Tomorrow, for it is still evening, the beginning of the day. It is the eve of the 15th of Nisan. Everybody knows that a new day or a new world is coming. Great changes are foreboding themselves. People feel the transit approaching, and everybody is convinced that the future is Haman's. The Jehudim too think so. That is why they are fasting. That is why they forsake the world. They know their downfall has been sealed by Ahasuerus, yet they are fasting. Fasting is something unreal. In fact, it is purposeless. It is really for nothing.